This is RTV6 News at Noon, working for you.
Protesters sat high up on the Indiana War Memorial well into the overnight hours today, but demonstrations after dark will not be allowed in the city this weekend. That order coming down just a few hours ago. Good afternoon, I'm Meredith Barrick. We are in our 8th day of protests against police brutality. Organizers plan another later today, but in preparation for additional protests expected this weekend, Mayor Joe Hogsett reinstating a curfew for Indianapolis and Marion County. Our Alyssa Donovan has the latest.
There are planned events throughout the weekend here in Indianapolis, and Mayor Joe Hogsett says in order to ensure safety for protesters, residents, and area businesses, he's reinstating the curfew for both Friday night and Saturday night. Throughout the week, protests have remained peaceful, with demonstrators marching through different areas of the Circle City daily, sharing their message for change with chants and signs. Last weekend's protests were also peaceful. However, small groups of people resorted to destruction. The hope is that enacting this curfew will deter that kind of action. The curfew starts at 8 tonight and ends at 6 tomorrow morning, with the same curfew hours in effect Saturday night. Exceptions to the executive order include people traveling to or from work, people trying to get medical attention, or fleeing from dangerous circumstances. I'm Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Not all businesses are happy with the weekend curfew, as it will mean fewer customers. Big Lug Canteen on the north side of Indianapolis sent out this tweet today saying they will be closing early. The restaurant says it's extremely disappointed in how these protests are being handled by the mayor. What do the curfews do other than give more ultimatums to businesses and provide reasons for police to be confrontational? Indy needs to be better, end quote. The mayor will have more details on the curfew at a briefing for reporters this afternoon. He's also expected to have more to say about the ongoing protests, as well as the city's continued reopening following the COVID-19 pandemic. You can watch the mayor's briefing at 1 o'clock this afternoon at theindychannel.com and on the RTV6 Facebook page. Well, if you're going to get out this afternoon and enjoy that warm weather, you need to make sure you're hydrated and that you probably have a hat, Todd.
Yeah, you know, hat, water, you need to shade yourself any way you can. And as you mentioned, yeah, stay hydrated. I shed the suit jacket from this morning for the polo shirt here this afternoon because it is a warm one out there. Look at these temperatures already into the 80s in many locations here across central Indiana, including 82 in Indianapolis, 82 in Bloomington, 81 in Columbus, a couple 70s out there as well. But everybody will be in the mid to upper 80s throughout the afternoon hours. We had some fog this morning that has burned off. And as you look from downtown to the north, you can see some high thin clouds starting to stream into the area. So that is good news. That'll provide us at least with some opportunities for a little bit of cloud cover to shade yourself from the sunshine. As far as the rain goes, most of the storms are actually building and moving further down to the south and off to our west here in the St. Louis area. So with the exception of just a stray shower or two, I think this front is going to go through fairly dry. If you do see one of these showers, it would be very brief. It would be light. We're not expecting any severe weather, so that is good news. We remain very warm here throughout the evening hours after a high of about 87, 88 degrees. But by tomorrow morning, a whole new air mass is in place, one you are going to like. It's more refreshing. More on that coming up in just a few minutes. Meredith.
Todd, thanks. A special prosecutor has now been named to the John Reed case. Deputy Prosecutor Rosemary Corey of Madison County will oversee the investigation into the death of the 21-year-old at the hands of Metro Police almost 1 month ago. The appointment was announced just more than a day after Reed's mother and attorneys representing his family made a public plea for answers. IMPD says Reed led police on a chase on May 6th, then exchanged gunfire with an officer. On Wednesday, attorneys strongly refuted the claim that Reed fired shots. The family's attorney also releasing this statement saying no one from the city or county told them about the special prosecutor. Their statement says it's unfortunate that we had to find out about this appointment of special prosecutor Corey on TV. We will look into it and respond in due course. New this midday, black state lawmakers are again calling for law enforcement reform. The Indiana Black Legislative Caucus says it will ask Governor Holcomb to establish a new statewide criminal justice commission. The caucus says the commission should have diverse representation from cities with large African-American populations. They want the commission to look at the entire criminal justice system and make recommendations to eliminate racist policing policies. The caucus also says the governor could take immediate action to end the use of one particular police tactic.
We urge Governor Holcomb to issue an executive order to immediately ban law enforcement from using chokehold restraints or other means of restraint that cut off the ability to breathe as a means of effectuating an arrest in Indiana.
So far, Black Caucus members say Governor Holcomb has not been in touch with any of them to talk about the protests or policing reform. The governor previously stated he had been in touch with legislative leaders, but was not specific. We've heard from a number of professional athletes all across the country talking about police brutality and in many cases joining the ongoing protests. The Indiana Fever are no exception.
I can't imagine if that was my brother that was laying on that ground.
I'm angry. I'm hurt.
I am fearful for the futures of my two black daughters.
The Fever posted the 2-minute video to their social media accounts with the tag, "We will no longer be silent, Black Lives Matter." This isn't the first time the Fever have talked about police brutality. In 2016, the team took a knee during the national anthem before a WNBA playoff game at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. Taking a turn now, the newest COVID-19 numbers are out from the state health department. Here is what they look like. Another 533 cases of the coronavirus were reported today. 27 new deaths were also reported. That brings the total in the state to 2,078. As we've previously reported, almost half of the state's deaths have happened inside nursing homes and other long-term care facilities. The state is hopeful that students will be back in the classroom this fall after missing much of the last semester due to the pandemic. Today, the State Department of Education released guidelines aimed at making sure students and teachers can return to school safely. Here are just a few of the guidelines. These are recommendations from the state and not mandates. The department suggests that schools be prepared to teach students in person or online and give students the option to learn at home. The guidelines say students should possibly eat meals in their classrooms and not in cafeterias or other communal areas. The state also says school districts should consider having groups of students alternate attendance days to minimize the number of people inside buildings. Governor Holcomb is expected to talk more about the guidelines, and he may also announce school reopening dates at his regular COVID-19 briefing this afternoon. You can watch that briefing live at 2:30 right here on RTV6. You can also see it at theindychannel.com and on the RTV6 Facebook page. After weeks of evaluating scenarios to safely operate swimming pools during the COVID-19 pandemic, Indy Parks now says 5 of its pools will reopen for the summer. However, the city says the pools will only open at 50% capacity to promote social distancing. Starting next Saturday, June 13th, the pools at Bethel Park, Frederick Douglass Park, Riverside Park, Perry Park, and Willard Park will be open 6 days a week. In addition to reducing their attendance levels throughout the summer, the pools have separate locker rooms and restrooms that are designated for pool visitors only and are not shared with other facilities within the park. The city says the pools also feature adequate deck space and pool water for social distancing. A lot of smoke in the air and a lot of drive time traffic diverted. We'll show you why Johnson County authorities were hard at work this morning. Todd.
And Meredith, it's been a very warm and muggy stretch of weather here to end the work week. Dew points today are in the mid-60s. Once you're in the mid-60s, it's getting a little uncomfortable. But look what happens tomorrow. Those dew points drop down into the 50s as we usher in a completely new air mass for the weekend. We'll talk all about the forecast for your Saturday, Sunday, and beyond coming up when the News at Noon continues right here on RTV6.
Celebrity Family Feud, News Sunday on ABC.
Metro Police continued to investigate a shooting this morning that sent 2 people to the hospital. This happened near 29th and Browse Avenue on the northeast side. Police tell us the shooting involved a man and a woman. Both were rushed to the hospital. One of the victims is in critical condition, the other listed as stable. Our crew on the scene also reported a vehicle with multiple bullet holes. So far, police have not released any additional information. Multiple fire crews worked to put out a fire that damaged a massive lumber yard in Johnson County. The fire started just after 5 this morning at 84 Lumber on Worthsville Road near US 31. It took more than an hour for crews to bring it under control using several tankers of water. Worthsville Road was also closed to traffic for several hours. No injuries were reported and the extent of the damage isn't yet known. Investigators are still looking into what caused that fire. He wanted to document history as it was happening. Up next, we talk to a photographer about some of the incredible images he has captured downtown this past week. And we are taking a live look above downtown here. A beautiful Friday afternoon ahead of us. Meteorologist Todd Clausen will join us here momentarily with a look at your Storm Team 6 forecast. You're watching the news at noon on RTV6. We'll see you back here in a bit.
And this is the home of the brave.
Breaking this midday, a major crash on the north side is slowing traffic down this afternoon. This is a live look from our traffic camera on I-465 at Meridian Street. This crash involves several vehicles on I-465 eastbound just before US 31. We have no word yet on injuries. However, the right two lanes of eastbound 465 are blocked as crews try to clean up this crash. If you're driving on the north side, you will want to avoid this area if possible. We will continue to follow this crash here throughout the afternoon. RTV6 and journalists everywhere have been sharing video of powerful moments during the protests that have taken place over the last week. Now we're hearing from the photographer who captured these images. He tells our Cornelius Hawker why sharing photographs of this moment in history will be important for future generations.
I had always told myself if I got the chance to, I would go and be part of it, at least try to document it.
That promise to himself brought portrait photographer Alexander Mazabel out of his comfort zone into the middle of the protest happening in downtown Indianapolis, taking visually stunning and haunting pictures like these.
Instead of just getting like little bits of smoke, it actually captured the sparks being released from the guns and whatnot.
But getting action shots like this comes at a price.
I was tear gassed, I believe, 6 times because I tried to stay as long as possible to the front.
One of the more dramatic things Alexander has done is taking these color photos and making them black and white, almost transporting you to an unfamiliar place in another time.
Like it can happen anywhere. Like within a weekend, downtown turned into what almost looked like a war zone.
Alexander has been making it a point to also share the peaceful demonstrations he's encountered. People standing together as one, demanding those in power implement changes. All of it, the good and the bad, is what Alexander wants future generations to see and learn from when they look at the pictures he took.
Everyone that's down there has their own story. So every picture I'm trying to capture a little bit of what they want to say as well.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, RTV6.
Cornelius, thank you. You can find more of Alexander's photos in this story at theindychannel.com. Todd Clausen joining us now here at the noon hour. And Todd, it is hot out there. What do people need to know as we head into our weekend?
Yeah, it's hot and it's humid out there today, but big changes are heading our way. Not so much in the temperatures, Meredith. It's still going to remain in the 80s over the weekend, but it's all about the humidity. So as you look at our humidity scale right now, dew points today are pretty close to 70 degrees, and that's in the oppressive category. But as I advance this here, notice how we're going to drop down to dew points probably by tomorrow afternoon that are going to be right around 55 degrees, and that puts us in the very comfortable category. So there is something to look forward to this weekend. You're just going to have to get through today, and still pretty uncomfortable overnight tonight before that refreshing air mass comes in. So I do think you'll probably have to keep those air conditioners on tonight to not only keep you cool, but knock down the humidity just a little bit. The live look from downtown to the north shows a little bit of high thin cloud cover starting to filter in across the area, and temperatures anywhere you go are in the 80s. 87 in Lafayette, 84 in Muncie, 82 is the current temperature in Indy as well as Bloomington, and in and around the metro area, temperatures range from 83 in Martinsville to 86 in Castleton, 83 in Edinburgh, where the temperatures are in the lower 80s. That's probably where there's a little bit of cloud cover built in, and that's why we're dealing with, 5 to 6 degrees in temperature variation over a pretty small square footage or square mileage area in Marion County. Now, as we go throughout the day, these high, thin clouds will continue to gather, and that's actually not a bad thing because it'll shade us a little bit from the direct sun sunlight. And it'll also help to give us some cooler temperatures this afternoon, in the sense that they won't soar all the way up into the 90s. These clouds coming in will kind of cap the temperatures off from warming a whole lot more throughout the day, but we will avoid the rain. See how it's breaking apart still? I can't rule out an isolated shower as one of these, as the cold front goes through, and one of those showers could produce maybe a quick, brief, heavy downpour, but we're not expecting any widespread thunderstorm activity or any severe weather throughout the day today. Highs, as I mentioned, in the upper 80s. Lafayette, you've been running a little bit warmer the past few days, so you have the potential to get to right around 90 degrees. But here is the forecast for the weekend. Tomorrow starts off a little humid still, but then the humidity drops. 85 is your high temperature tomorrow. It's a little bit warmer. Sunday is absolutely terrific at 82 degrees. Temperatures Sunday morning will be in the upper 50s, so that's when you can turn your air conditioners off and open up the windows as you go to sleep. We're still around 60 Monday morning, but it's Monday the heat builds in, and then it turns very hot and humid Tuesday and Wednesday, and it has everything to do with Tropical Storm Cristobal, which regained its strength in the Gulf of Mexico earlier this morning. Definitely brings the heat and humidity to our area, and we'll have to fine-tune the forecast as far as the rainfall goes, but expect some showers around Tuesday and Wednesday. Meredith.
Todd, thank you. It has been a tough spring for the class of 2020. Some high schools are hoping to host graduation services this summer, but as our Rafael Sanchez found out, some schools are finding creative ways to hold graduation ceremonies right now.
This 3D animation shows how vehicles loaded with families will pull in and park for the Jay County High School graduation ceremony. It's been weeks of planning.
The kids felt it was important. They wanted to be together, even if it was a little different. We were committed pretty early on in doing everything we could do to give them this memory.
The school system is working with indie-based Front Runner Media, a student-led production company that will lead the live streaming of the ceremony honoring 240 seniors. Frontrunner's efforts will be watched by those in their vehicles or in their homes.
Gives these seniors a chance to at least have a shared experience when it comes to their graduation.
Students on track to graduate are receiving diplomas in unique ways. Speedway High School had their ceremony at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Welcome to the graduation ceremony of Crispus Attucks High School for the class of 2020.
Eric Graham Dotson.
IPS is hosting virtual ceremonies for seniors at its 4 traditional and 2 alternative high schools.
Our pleasure to officially recognize our graduating class by turning our tassels to the left.
In Jay County, their ceremony will also be broadcast on their local radio station, and the school district will overlook one key rule on graduation day.
When a kid's name is called, that moment that we used to say in our gyms, oh, please don't make a noise or horns. We actually ask the families, honk your horn. As soon as you hear your child's name, your senior's name, honk your horn, put on your 4-way flasher so we can see you and wave at you.
Rafael Sanchez with that report. Some other good news. Seniors at Jay County will now be able to walk on stage to get their diploma. However, their families must stay inside their vehicles. A good compromise, I'd say. Still ahead on the news at noon, why you'll want to keep an eye on the sky later today for a reason other than Todd Clausen's forecast. We will have one more look at that, too, as we head into the weekend. You're watching the news at noon on RTV6.
Just search RTV6.
It's a sweet day if you're a stargazer. The next full moon is this evening, and it's called the strawberry moon. It will appear opposite the sun at 3:12 p.m. today. And if you miss it, you can still catch a glimpse tonight. The moon will pass through a section of the Earth's partial shadow. Other astronomical names for this event include the Need Moon, the Honey Moon, and the LRO Moon. Todd, let's take a look at all that sunshine you've got there.
Yeah, lots of sunshine heading our way. Just a stray shower, a thunderstorm this afternoon. I wouldn't worry about it. Don't cancel plans. The bigger story today, the heat at 88 degrees. Weekend is beautiful, turning less humid tomorrow throughout the day, 85 degrees. But lots of sunshine. Sunday is spectacular, 83 and sunny before the heat and humidity returns next week.
Todd, thank you. And thank you for making RTV6 your choice for news. We hope you have a great weekend.